Welcome back to The Peak, everyone, where we sit down with the icons, the innovators, and the architects of the culture. I'm your host, and today we're tapping in with a true hip hop legend, the incomparable Suga-T, from her early days carving a lane in the clique to her unforgettable features alongside E40 to her evolution as a CEO, a creator, a powerhouse voice for women in the game. Sugar T's journey is one of reinvention, resilience, and outright mastery. So, everybody settle in because today we're diving from the foundation all the way to the future, the legacy, the new music, and the mindset behind one of the Bay's finest. This is The Peak with Sugar T. How are you today?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good.
Good. I'm good.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here again. As we said in the intro, a powerhouse in the industry. Your career began in an era where breaking into hip hop as a woman was almost completely unheard of. And so, what was the moment that you felt your true first break, and how did that grind shape the artist you became today?
Well, starting off, as you had mentioned earlier, as the clique, the first lady of my family group, family hip hop group. It was cool because it allowed me to get a lot of experience with my brothers, D Shot and E40, and then my cousin Be Legit, and branching off into solo careers and coming together to still do group projects. It's an honor today to be here almost 40 years later.
Yeah, I think you walked so a lot of people, not just women, but a lot of people in hip hop could run as they do today. A lot of fans still associate your rise with that early click era. And so, what do you remember most vividly about carving your lane within that crew of strong male personalities and doing it successfully?
Well, it was kind of cool because, we actually showed up. I noticed that this era, they don't necessarily show up. They can just, get online and play around and get the buy in and, just kind of get there that way, which is not necessarily to me a level of authenticity. So I would say that it took authenticity to still be here today because you actually get real talent that has a variety of conversations to have, not just one, not just presented one way, not just, limited topics to talk about. So we don't have to use controversy to sell our brands, or any over, behaviors that we might necessarily not want to use, but some have to use it just to stay afloat because unfortunately sometimes, going along with the industries, sometimes the industry changes. People start kind of using the same tactics and moves, following who they think is the leader, and sometimes it's not always them wanting to use their a lot of times they fall out of integrity to do it. So we really we don't have to do that, all of us older women, because we already made hits and we already kind of created opportunities for ourselves and learned how to survive and still be here today, whether music or not, or whether ups and downs, highs and lows, whether matriarchs of our families, whether, being able to kind of navigate through the system. We've been able to do that. So it's yeah, it's a great experience and awesome to actually come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I feel like authenticity is a big thing today, especially when it comes to the women in the rap game. You speaking on them having to act in a certain way to sell that controversy tip that, honestly may not be who they truly are or who the little kid version of themselves wanted to be when they grew up, even if it was in music. And so looking behind you, I see tons of um, awards that showcase that true authenticity that you brought to the table, showing up to collect those awards for one after doing so well in those stages. What's the favorite award behind you, including the plaques and such? What's one thing you look at and you're like, wow,
you know that that's a good question. There's another room full of about another nine albums. There's a couple of, I think there's six gold albums, and then there's nine, I mean six
fire?
platinum albums, and
Mm-hmm.
then nine gold albums. So altogether, there's about 15 of them. So some are in back of me, and then some is in another area in the house. But the favorite one is literally my doctorate's degrees. To be honest with you, I have a doctorate in humanities, and then I have an honorary doctorate in music. So what it does is it highlights. I feel that it highlights all the various parts of me, because you got to pretty much be a doctor and an architect, in all areas as a professional businesswoman, you got to be all of these things. So you have to be someone who knows how to fix things, which that's what doctors do, right? They
Right.
fix things and they also create things and opportunities and keep life going. So I think that is the one I'm gonna pull as my most favorite one out of the gold out platinum albums, the gold albums, out of the many certifications, out of the many educational certificates and credentials. That those two I think are probably my strongest.
Yeah, no, my eyes actually went to those as I'm looking up there because they're not just awards or music related. There's something bigger, like you mentioned. It's a part of that true education that I feel like a lot of people miss these days, especially in the music game. That could really help them, when it comes to their endeavors in business and when it comes to plotting out their future. And so going back to your past, you've been on this string of classic features, some of them alongside E40, but some of them alongside other Bay Area legends. And so, what was the moment where you realized that your contributions were helping define the entire Bay Area sound?
When was, when you are in it at the beginning, you just kind of in it
Mm-hmm.
and you just smashing, it's just second nature. You just moving, getting it done, producing, making it happen. And because I was a producer coming in the game, I was just used to putting things together and making it work, So growing up in a record label and being an executive alongside of my brothers and, given the tasks and the requirements to produce and executive produce alongside of artistry, it all just kind of, it's not a big it wasn't a big deal at the beginning because we were just here moving and that's just what we did. It just really became a big deal, to be honest with you, maybe about, I would say, and not necessarily even a big deal, but just understanding that we carved something that nobody could ever create again, because unless they're in our era, because of how we had to create it. So I started recognizing that, we were able to not have to do the things we spoke about earlier and still have balance and still have a mixed amount of people that are different, not all the same, doing the same, sounding the same, acting the same. Um, at that time, I think maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago, something like that. Yeah, could be 10 to 15 years ago. After the 40-year run, almost 40 years, it's been about 38 years since 1984.
Yeah, no, you guys defined entire era of music for an entire half of a nation, and that spread around the entire world with the sound there. And so some people may feel like it's just natural second nature, but what were those hardships coming up in that time? I know that was not an easy time for the Bay Area when it came to gaining influence. You guys helped a lot of the influence that came to the Bay Area. A lot of the eyes came after you guys did your run. Tell us what were the hardships during that time about making it?
Well, the beginning of the career, different things happen different times in the career. So, the beginning, it I can't really call a bunch of hardships, to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
because we from the streets. We used to showing up. We used to rah rah. We used to,
Mm-hmm.
don't start none, won't be none. We used to, making things happen. That's kind of the cloth that we was cut from. We're used to hard work. We used to moving. Hard work is just work to us. It's not really necessarily hard. So it's just something that has to be done. But it became challenging later on in the career when everybody else changed and when the business started kind of getting twisted a little bit and oversaturated, and then there was different requirements and different, the different way that I looked at it, and pulling myself out of it for a moment so that I could balance, you know what I mean, and work on some other things and continue carving and, and nurturing my art, but not always in the same cesspool, because to me it became a cesspool at one point. Everybody doing the same thing that they did years ago, and it just was something I wasn't gonna opt into, because I just feel like you're supposed to evolve, like not just stay stagnated in one mindset. And that to me is fake, even though we're supposed to be real in hip hop. To me, that's fake. And then
Right.
seeing everybody else coming in copycatting basically and taking the credit and then being pushed to people saying, you got to be like her. Oh no, baby, she got to be like me. She better hope she can make it where I've made it, and as long as I've made it, and how I've made it, still healthy, still with integrity, and covering a whole perspective of what women do when they're, when they come here, as a matriarch, as a young mother. So I seen when it comes to the music part of life, that was a little challenging because other people had been programmed, and
Yeah.
so it was difficult for them to step away from what really made sense. Now they've come back because they didn't seen that it's just the overkill of foolishness and the same thing, and they're like, wait a minute, I got power, I'm a leader. So some of them is coming back to really seeing that, a difference, but that was kind of challenging. And I'm not going to mention the personal things. There was, of course, personal things along the way that came. It'll take too long, but, going through a lot of different things, divorce, going through men who are jealous, going through people trying to sabotage you, going through dysfunction, going through trauma, drama, hurt, pain, temporary happiness, going through the learning pain, going through, learning processes and essentials, going to school, in between all of this, raising children, and all that.
Right.
That was, that always, of course, was a little challenging, but again, it had to be done. So, I just got through it and learned how to help other people navigate, and learned that I can navigate through that kind of stuff and still be okay. And the recipe to being able to do that.
Yeah, and so, we appreciate your willingness to go through those things because now we get to experience suga-t as an artist in 2025. And so I want to talk about some of your newest music here. When listeners are scrolling through your recent discography, from Cardio Boss Up to I Am Eris, Shaniko, and other albums, they notice there are almost no features now. I know you talked about how the landscape of the modern music era kind of pushes you to this more self-contained creative space. Was that intentional or did that just happen?
It was intentional. I have an album full of features. It's called Sugar-T and
Hmm.
Friends. I did that. I did a whole bunch of features. If you pull me up, you'll see I've got multiple features, as well as guest get placements on all different types of products and
Hmm.
soundtracks. So I felt like, what, I'm talented enough. I don't have to have features. So, I unfortunately, I kind of go against the status quo sometimes because I think we're dealing with people that's more conditioned, versus really standing up and really seeing the truth, the whole thing. And so because I could see really well, the truth and the whole thing, and I'm kind of a little more open minded and, think a different way. I think as a leader and an innovator, a true innovator, one that doesn't go backwards, but that goes forward, which is our purpose in life here. But because I know that a lot of people got conditioned, I was like, you know what? I'm going to show them that I can still bang out and I don't have to have a feature. And because I've already had so many features, a lot of my hits are features or, or on somebody else's projects, I don't want people feeling like, oh, she only just got that hit because of this person or because of that person or that kind of thing. So I want to make sure I have a slew of bangers that highlight just me by myself, and me not only showing up to present the content but showing up to literally produce the projects and release it on my record label. So that was the whole point of doing it that way. Plus didn't want to have to chase nobody down, didn't want to have to make people feel like, they're making me if they get on my album, and didn't want to be stuck in a box because that has been one of the challenges for me. Having Sprinkle Me, it's a blessing, but at the same time, featuring with my brother, unfortunately, when you have features a lot of times and it blow up, sometimes you're not always moving around like that person that you got the feature with. So it can sometimes stagnate one person or the other, or just put you in a position where you don't benefit as much as you could if
Hmm.
everyone is not on the same page, or moving at the same time in the same way. You
Right.
get what I'm saying? So I'm a woman, he's a male, he's older, I got grandkids, he doesn't have grandkids, I have grandkids, I have 10 of them, I've been a grandmother for almost 2 decades. I'm a woman, I have to go home to my children, I have to deal with womanly things. He's a male, he has a wife that deals with his womanly things. You see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
there's a lot of differences, and a lot of people just think everybody's in one box, but
Right.
it's like, no, we all have different things. I have a birthday every month, because I got 10 grandchildren right
Right.
now. You know what I'm saying? So every month there's a birthday party. So I'm supporting and, looking out for my lineage as a matriarch. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've been a matriarch, a grandmother for over almost 2 decades. So, and a mother since I was 16. So, there's, different things that you learn later on that will be a little more helpful without you being stuck in a box or stagnated or putting somebody else in a box or stagnating them. That's a form of bondage.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I feel like I work with a lot of people when it comes to music, and sometimes when you're working with them, it's hard to even have your own identity when it comes to what you bring to the table. Because you may bring something to that table, but I got my own table. I got my own decor. I want to set
Yeah,
up in my own house, my own furniture, and it's
there you
always
go.
good to collaborate, but you have to have your own identity. I feel like we definitely get to see that
Yes.
identity from you now, and so I see you online shooting the music videos for your upcoming Beat It Up and the videos here. We love seeing you in social media. What's your favorite part about that? You're in the modern era now. What do you like doing most? Is it the TikTok dances, the videos, the posting? What is it?
I like being free. I like the freedom of anything I want to do.
Hmm.
Meaning that if I want to dance, if I want to exercise, if I want to sing, if I want to rap, if I want to smash, if I want to sing and be pretty and beautiful and free and loving
Right.
and crazy, I want that freedom. I don't want to be in a box. And that's what I work hard to not be. Because when you're in a box, that's how they get you. That's how you get stagnated. That's how a lot of people sell themselves out, because they don't have no other way to go, and you're blocking your talents. And being that I am able to use multiple talents, I like to be able to run my business. I like to create and produce things. I like to help the community. I like to help people change their lives. I'm a coach. I work as a wellness transformation coach. So what I do is I help people turn their pain into peace, passion, prosperity, and purpose, and help them develop multiple streams of income as a way of community wellness, in a way to help them balance. So in those spaces and places, dealing with businesses or organizations or individuals, and being a school owner and a museum owner, there's certain things that I enjoy out of that. So I like to be able to step into all those worlds. You know what I mean?
Yes. And so you've built these businesses, you've launched these learning academies, you've stepped into coaching, fragrance, the beauty world, all while still releasing albums, being a hip hop legend. How do you balance that? What is the advice that you would give to someone just trying to figure it all out and they're multifaceted?
I mean, you asked first, how do I balance it all? Nothing ever gets done. That's number one. However, it is different parts of each, what I call a division, that does that has the implementation of
Hmm.
operations. So, I always say, you have multiple streams in different places and styles and formats that you implement those streams.
Hmm.
So, you have something online, you have something in your pocket to sell whenever you go somewhere. You can, hey, if it ain't nothing but some gas money. You have, of course, something for long term success, some for short term, and you have different tiers of income. So you might have your little cheap product, and you might have a very high end product. So it's really all of those different places continue to help you navigate. If I was to tell somebody I wouldn't start a whole bunch of stuff, only I've been doing this, I've been in business for 40 years. I came in it in a business. So I would say for 20, probably about 27 to 30 strong years of being in business, I'm pretty good at what I'm doing. And I added things along the way. So I'm a boring person. I get bored so quick. I can't just do one thing. I might have an idea and be like, oh, I think I can create that. Or I might see something, a void that needs to be filled. I'm a social entrepreneur. And I don't expect for everybody else to do that. So I say, pick, 4, 5 things to 7 things at the top that can sell, even if it's in the same business, 7 things that could sell, even if it's the same type of product, or in the same rim, or in the same, I would say, the same different,
Yeah.
if it's a different part of that business,
Right.
that's what I would say, and concentrate on that so you don't have to be too far out and away. Um, so that is, and then of course, make sure it's your calling, in terms of everybody's trying to jump in the music industry and trying to be famous and this and that, but there's so many ways to make money and so many ways you can get things done, and you don't know what comes along with other people's lives. So, you may envy something that you're seeing and that you're wanting, but you really don't know the whole story. So Be grateful for who you are and what you got, and don't get stuck in narcissism. Don't feel like you just have to have everything or you got it all together, because we all can grow. And when you start moving like that, it's like you move in narcissism and you won't be able to complete things, and you won't be liked, because in business you got to be liked. People got to want to work with you. They want to buy your product. They want to like you. They want to trust you. And running around with a cocky and haughty attitude like you all that, as well as being ugly and jealous and not supporting others but wanting everybody to support you, that's not going to get you too far.
It's definitely not going to get you anywhere. You've had so many callings, you've done so many different things. What has been, I wouldn't even say your favorite, that might be hard to answer, but what really stood out to you? Like, wow, I really did this, I really love this, and I'll do it again.
Mm-hmm. Um, so what straight to my head was making pretty songs,
Hmm.
like hip hop songs. I can make them with my eyes closed, hands down. You know what I mean? Like it's like that's a second nature. But actually putting some beautiful musical layers, backgrounds and different sounds and notes together to just blend into a beautiful presentation on a record, that made me feel good. It makes me, I'm very proud of that. Getting my degrees were also, I'm very proud in accomplishing that goal. Just because you always need a backup, and then a lot of times you don't want people thinking that you winging it, you know what I mean? And you don't want to be winging it. So those are the two things that mostly stand out. And I'm gonna say lastly, because there's not just one, unfortunately. The third one is just being a grandmother and being able to have experienced the time with my children and my grandchildren and
Right.
not losing any of their life trying to chase music and money. I literally, made a lot of sacrifices to make sure that I spent time to support, my children and on their journey as mothers, and to get acquainted and give my perfume, my spirit to my grandchildren, and make sure that we're all connected. So I feel good about that.
Yeah, and I think through the music, it feels so much more polished, so much more personal now. Through the actions, through what we're seeing on Instagram, we can feel that family connection. I feel like that's appreciated through the people that listen to you. You've lived so many different lives through your entire career. What version of suga-t is leading the music now, and what does she want to say to the people?
So the different versions, you're liable to see anything, okay? Because
Mhm.
I'm just gonna do anything that I feel. To be honest with you, I'm not allowing people to put me in a box, because people are very good at doing that in entertainment. They'll
Mhm.
keep old school artists singing their old school songs all the time and just stuck on stage with that. And don't get me wrong, them old school hits. Thank you, you guys, for all supporting and loving it and making it golds and platinums. I love performing those, but I'm not going to be stuck there. So I like to do new music, and I
Mhm.
see a lot of times we allow the public and people to put us in bondage, just blocking us and stopping us from moving forward because it's comfortable or it's familiar with them. So you're liable to see me do anything, and I'm excited about being able to, to show you those different parts of me, and to be able to enjoy those different parts of me and grow with those different parts of me and feel that you can navigate and you don't have to be in the box. You know what I mean? So I that's one of the things that you could expect from me. I have a lot of product lines, new product lines coming out. I have a movie documentary series coming out. I have a the TV show. I'm off hiatus, so I'm recording to release the next segments of
Mhm.
my television show. So I'll continue to do all those great innovative things. I'm going to continue to write books. I have, as you know, have 6 books. So if you go to thesugarrush.com, you can always keep in contact with and get everything that in my hub, I call it the Sugar Rush, that's in the Sugar Rush, giving you a sugar rush without getting you too sick. You'll see all 20 of my solo albums. I have 25 albums, but there's 20 of my solo albums. I have 5 group albums and 20 solos. So you'll be able to pick up those. You can get my books. There's a shop where you can shop some of the beauty products, and you can also go further and go to the beauty boutique online at sprinklemeboutique.com and learn about the different product lines that are there. and what we do and why we do it, and enjoy that part of me, and just be able to stay connected. Anything that that is positive and that allows me to share, that's what accept you'll expect to see me as. So you'll see me musically, artistically, if there's an opportunity, through executive directing the organization that I have, and there's something there that can help others. Um, you'll see that. We do community wellness, autism, and women and girl empowerment. And then, of course, the Her Museum presents itself with a variety of elements: tech, music, film, arts, and girl and women empowerment, along with community wellness. So, you'll always see that there's a lot going on because I stay busy, and I've never had a dull moment, since I've been born. And I believe in producing daily while trying to stay healthy and balanced.
Yes, the production list is there and the accomplishment list is also long. It's been an absolute pleasure sitting here talking to a legend today, suga-t. It was amazing to have you on. You are an absolute icon in the industry, and it's amazing to see our icon still shining after, just doing so much for us already. I still know there's so much that you have on the plate, and we're here to eat it all up. Is there anyone else that you want to shout out, or anyone else that you may be willing to work with in the future?
I just want to shout everybody out. Thank you for those who have followed me, and great to meet you, those who haven't, and get to know me. If you want to come to something that's a little different from what's shoved in everybody's face right now in entertainment, then you came to the right place. I'll always be authentic. I will always stand in a leadership position, and I will always position myself to serve the masses, in a way that that serves with relevance, with integrity, and with poise, all in one, and continue to innovate and be the trailblazer that I started off being years ago when I made Hurricane. But you can call this Hurricane. And when I made Captain Save 'em, I want to be saved. When I made Sprinkle Me, here comes the top notch. Ooh, 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 here I be.
Come
All of
on.
those different things that I've created through the years. If I took your boyfriend, when I did, time a name ringing, major factor FedEx, when you heard the one love, all the things that have innovated and became gold platinum home, staples up to date. I'll continue to give you that authenticity. So thank you again for following me. You can follow me, those that are not, on my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at suga-t official, the blue check, SUGA-T official. Stay in touch and continue to connect with my movement. I do a lot of classes releases. We're doing the Work It Challenge. I'm getting ready to continue with our Work It Boss program, where it's mindfulness and moving, and you can move and be mindful with me and sign up from a distance. And we got the Work It Boss class where we help you to be able to walk in purpose, longevity, happiness, embrace your age, um, and enjoy life. You know what I'm saying? You'll have a secret to that.
Yes, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Peak. If you guys are just now tuning in, make sure you follow suga-t on any platform. She's got that link tree in her bio that leads to everything that you would want to check out and more. Make sure you guys follow the Peak pages as well. We'll see you guys next time.